So good morning, dear students, friends. Today we are going to discuss on MPS-01 Block 1 Unit 6 deals with the topic justice. Before we discuss this unit, we should know the major part of this topic which are essential to clearly understand the concept and the importance of this unit. This unit has categorized in some part like introductions, the idea of justice, procedural justice and substantive justice, needs, rights and deserts, Rawls' liberal egalitarian principles of social justice, critique of utilitarianism, Rawls' liberal egalitarian principles of justice, the social contact procedure, the basic structure of the society, criticism against Rawls' view, then liberal critiques, Marxist critiques and communitarian critiques, and the summary. So let us start the topic. Everywhere we are hearing the word justice. Somebody say, we want justice. Somebody starts movement for establishment of justice. When we think about our society, about our community, about our political system, in our behavior, in our attitude, in our principles, we always demand justice. So justice is a core concept of the society. Political system deals with the state and government. The basic aim and objectives of every government should be establishment of peace, security, and development. This peace, security, and development in a real sense come into exist on the basis of justice. So we can say that justice is of central importance in political practice and theory. The concept of justice is based on numerous fields and many differing viewpoints and perspectives, including the concepts of moral correctness based on ethics, rationality, law, religion, equity, and fairness. So, what we can say that justice is based on ethics, justice is based on morality, justice is based on rationality, justice is based on law, religion, equity, and fairness. Justice, in its broadest context, includes both the attainment of that which is just and the philosophical discussions of that which is just. The idea of justice. The word justice is derived from the Latin word jungere, Jungere, jungere. It means to bind or to tie together. And from the word just, Jus, a bond or a tie. So justice is a bind, justice is a bindings, or justice is a method through which we are tied togetherly. As a bonding or joining idea, justice serves to organize people together into a right or fair order of relationships. By distributing to each person his or her due share of rights and duties, rewards and punishment. So, what it has said that justice serves to organize people together into a right or fair order of relationship by distributing to each person his or her due share of rights and duties, rewards and punishment. If we go to the definition of the justice, then we must have to take help of various meanings forwarded by various scholars or books. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, justice is the maintenance or administration of what is just, especially by the impartial adjustment of conflicting claims or the assignment of merited rewards or punishment. Justice is the quality of being just, impartial and fair. So from dictionary point of view, we can say, according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, justice is the maintenance or administration of what is just, especially by the impartial adjustment of conflicting claims or the assignment of merited rewards or punishment. Justice is quality of being just, impartial and fair. So we should keep in mind regarding the justice, these three words. What are these three words? This is just, impartial and fair. Just, impartial and fair. It is the principle or ideal of just dealing or right actions, dealing with right action. So justice deals with the right action. According to Cambridge Dictionary, if we go through the dictionary meaning, justice is the fairness in the way people are dealt with. Justice is the fairness in the way people are dealt with. It is the system of laws in a country that judges and punishes people. So what justice does? Justice judges what is right and what is wrong. It award the reward and it also gives the punishment. Then the basis of the justice. What are the basis of the justice? The basis of the justice, we can say there are three bases of justice. What are those? This is equity, fairness and impartiality. What is equity? Equity is the formal fairness. We can say it is the institutional behavior. It is the structural behavior. When we get equality before law, when we get equal opportunity from the government, when we see equality in among the people, then in a society, in the political system, then we can say it is justice. Justice, the second basis of the justice is the fairness. What is the fairness? Fairness in treatment, how we behave, how people behave, how a person is behaved in the society, how a person is behaved by the other persons, how a person is behaved by the political system, by the government, by the legislature, by the executive, by the judiciary, or by the administrations. The third basis of the justice, it is the impartiality. What is impartiality? Basically, impartiality is a negative meaning. Impartiality means not taking the side of any ones, or we can say it is neutrality, or we can say it is the fair-mindedness. It means it is the internal attitude, it is the internal philosophy which should be impartial. When we are saying about justice, then our mind should be impartial. Justice is interlinked with such other moral political values like liberty, equality, and fraternity. Justice is also related to other some topics, other some issues. What are those? These are the primary essentials of every person in every society, in every political system. These are liberty, equality, and fraternity. So we know this liberty, equality, fraternity are also the basis of democracy. Now, come to discuss about the different concept of justice. How we can define justice, or how we can realize the justice. If we go back regarding the history of the analysis of justice, then we have found that it was Plato, Socrates, Glaucon, Thrasymachus, Polemarchus, Aristotle. These are the ancient political philosophers. They discussed about the justice. Plato argued that justice is a proper harmonious relationship between the three elements of human souls. So Plato, we know the pupil of Socrates. He believed that we can get justice when there will not be interfere among the three elements of the soul, and they work spontaneously and actively without hampering the others. Then there will be justice. And these three elements represents the three classes of the society. What are those three classes? These are the ruling class, military class, and producing class. So he said that human soul is consisted of three elements. These are reason, spirit, and appetite. When all these three will functions actively, properly, without hampering the other activities, then there will be justice. It means that when there will be a harmony among the producing class, military class, and the ruling class, there will be justice. In the ancient time, again, a group of social scientists, they believe that justice is the divine command. Justice is the divine command. They advocate that it is the divine command which is issued by the God. Justice is maintained by the God. Justice is the order of the God. So they believe in the spiritual power. They believe that in ancient period, peoples believe that we can get justice from the God. It is the God, it is the spiritual power, it is the superpower who can control and conduct us, or who can give us justice. The social contract theory, we know about Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau. The social contract tradition argued that justice is derived from mutual agreement of everyone concerned. So, justice is the result of mutual agreement, which is done by everyone, or which is based on the concern of everyone. After that, the utilitarian thinkers, like we can say who were the utilitarian thinkers, James Mill, J.S. Mill, etc. The utilitarian thinkers argued that Justice is based on the best outcomes for the greatest number of people. It is related to the results. So utilitarians believe that when a work, when an activity, when a policy, when a law, it give maximum outcomes, maximum happiness to the maximum number, then that is the justice. It means that when people feels more happiness, or if the happiness is enjoyed, happiness is felt by many persons, then we can say that is the justice. The activities which can satisfy maximum peoples, that is the justice according to the utilitarian thinkers. Theories of distributive justice concern what is to be distributed, between whom they are to be distributed, and what is the proper distributions. So keep it in your mind. When we discussed about the justice, distributive justice is a part of justice. This is advocated by in ancient period, it was the Aristotle, and in the modern period we know it is the John Rawls. So they believe on the distributive justice. Then what is the distributive justice? Distributive justice concern what is to be distributed, between whom and they are to be distributed, and what is the proper distribution. What is to be distributed, between whom to be distributed, and what is the proper distribution system. If we can realize, if we can find out it is a proper distributions is the justice, it means that proper distribution. What is this proper distribution? This proper distributions may be the resource, like that. Egalitarian argued that justice can only exist within the coordinates of equality. It means where there is equality, there is justice. This is the egalitarian view. Now come to the concept given by also Rawls. We are coming to the modern period. In modern period, John Rawls used the social contract argument to show that justice, and especially distributive justice, is a form of fairness. What Rawls said? Rawls says that justice, he means justice means the distributive justice. Distributive justice is a form of fairness. He argued that justice is the first virtue of social institutions. All social institutions, justice is the first virtue. Pay importance on the word virtue. Justice is the first virtue of social institutions. Robert Nozick, like the scholars like Robert Nozick, property rights theorists, they are the property rights theorists, also take a consequentialist view of distributive justice and argue that property rights based justice maximize the overall wealth of an economic system. So property rights theory. What is this property rights theory? Who support the private property concept. So they believe that property rights theorists believe that justice is a issue related to the maximization of overall wealth in an economic system. When an economic system, no difference between political system, economic system and social system, because all are interrelated. If an economic system able to maximize its overall wealth, that is the justice according to this property right theorist. Theories of retributive justice are concerned with punishment for wrongdoing. wrongdoers. So always we know when the court punishes a person, then we say it is the justice. So what is this justice? It is known as retributive justice. These theories of retributive justice are concerned with the punishment for wrongdoers, wrongdoing. Another types of justice, it is known as restorative justice. Sometimes restorative justice is also called as reparative justice. What is this? This approach justifies justice that justice focuses on the needs of victims and offenders. Restorative justice is an approach to justice that focuses on the needs of victims and offenders. Focus on the needs of the victims and offenders. Why a person is becoming victim? Why a person has done the offense? These are the main issues of the restorative justice. It means restorative justice try to reform the peoples to establish a peaceful society. Then in your book, it is described that there are two types of justice. Mainly there are two types of justice. One is procedural justice, another one is substantive justice. Procedural refers to the justice or fairness or impartiality of the processes and procedures through which a law or policy or decision is arrived at and applied. So procedural justice means when we realize the justice from the system, when we can realize the justice from the structure, when we realize the justice on the basis of law, when we can realize the justice on the basis of making of policy or implementation of policy or taking of decisions by the various structures of the society or by the political system. So when system identifies the justice, it is procedural. When a justice is recognized, granted, established by the law, then that is procedural. Then what is substantive? Substantive justice refers to justice or fairness of the content or outcome of laws, policies and decisions. So first one is making of the law, making of decisions, making of policy, making of law related to the establishment of justice. This is the procedural. On the other hand, substantive justice means it is the results. It is related to the results. How far it able to give the justice to the people, to the target group, to the peoples. Principles of procedural justice have traditionally been based on the idea of formal equality of persons, like rule of law. Their equality as a human being or as a subject of the rule of law, irrespective of their differences in gender, in religion, in caste, race, wealth, etc. When a political system said that all are equal in the eye of law without any discrimination on the ground of caste, community, religion, gender, and others, then that is the procedural justice, as it is incorporated in the Indian constitutions under fundamental rights from 14 to 18. On the basis of the 14 to 18 articles of the Indian constitutions, we can say that Indian government, Indian constitutions try to establish justice on the basis of procedural way. Often rights-based justice is seen in procedural justice, whereas need-based justice is seen in substantive justice. So the basic difference between the procedural justice and substantial justice is that in procedural justice, it is right-based justice. Who should get what right? What type of right should be granted to whom? When everyone entitled the rights, when everyone feel that their rights has been granted, their rights has been recognized, then they feel that yes, it is the justice. But that is procedural justice. Then what is the substantive justice? It is a need-based, what people actually need. What type of system people actually need? What type of society actually people need? What type of behavior actually people need? What type of law, what type of rules, what type of regulation actually people need? Actual ideology. When it pays important on the actual need of the peoples, then it will become substantive justice. Then how we can discuss the justice? Justice as needs, justice as rights, and justice as deserts. So when we talk about the needs of the peoples, rights of the peoples, deserts of the peoples, then we should try to analyze the justice in terms of this. What are these? Need-based justice means for each according to his ability, to his according to his needs. Is according to his ability, from is according to his ability to is according to his needs. Who is eligible for what and how he will get his needs. It is the basic ideology of need-based justice. Basically, it is advocated by Marxist group. They believe that the justice means from is according to his ability to is according to his needs. Right-based justice means to protect the liberty, rights of the peoples, basically the negative liberty. This is advocated by the liberalist thinkers like Locke and Hume. Locke and Hume believe that the justice is related to right. What type of right? It is the liberty rights to liberty. What is the rights to liberty? When we get the freedoms to develop our personality without any restrictions, without any limitations. This is the liberty according to Locke and Hume, and they believe that when a person can enjoy his liberty without any interference, without any restrictions, then that is the justice. Then what is the desert-based justice? Desert-based conception of justice are occasionally referred to as natural justice. So desert-based concept of justice is natural justice. It emphasizes the idea of the natural desert or innate worth of the individual, which is assumed to constitute the basis of a God-given natural unalterable orders of things. And supporter of these ideology are Edmund Burke and Herbert Spencer, etc. They believe that by nature peoples are getting some rights. Some rights are given by our nature, by the God. Then if we can protect, we can get it, then that is the justice. Nature gives justice is the, or natural justice is the core issue of desert-based justice. Then come to the main concept which is most important for you in this chapter. Basically, the theory of justice is discussed in terms of the view forwarded by John Rawls. John Rawls, who born in 1921 and died in 2002. John Rawls was an American political philosopher in the liberal traditions. I have already said, basically the liberal traditions supports the liberty of the peoples in society, in political systems. So, John Rawls was a liberal political thinker and he born in America. Rawls' most discussed work is his theory for just liberal society called the justice as fairness. So, what Rawls paid importance? Rawls paid importance the fairness of justice. The fairness of justice. Rawls first set out justice as fairness of systematic detail, published in his book A Theory of Justice, published in 1971. So, what is the famous book? What was the famous book written by John Rawls where he discussed about the theory? The name of the book is A Theory of Justice. So very easy to keep it in mind, Theory of Justice. Rawls continued to rework justice as fairness throughout his life. It is not that he only discussed the justice in only one book. He also discussed the concept justice in many books. Among of them, the famous books are Political Liberalism, published in 1993, The Law of Peoples, published in 1999, and Justice as Fairness in 2001. So, till 2001, he had done lots of work for the searching of justice. Before we understand the theory of justice forwarded by John Rawls, we should know his 4 rules of political philosophy. He was the believer of 4 rules in study of political issue. What are those? Number 1, the first rule was that he paid importance on practical issues, practical ground. The first rule is practical. Political philosophy can discover grounds for reasons agreement in a society where subdivisions threaten to the lead of conflict. So if we think what is the practical ground, practical concept, he was practical. He practically said that it is not easy to discover the grounds of reasons of agreements in a society to make classifications. And if we create the classifications in a strong way, then there will be a chance of conflict. A second rule of political philosophy, a second rule of political philosophy is to help citizens to orient themselves within their own social world. So he tried to give orientations to the peoples to know their own society very well. As a citizens of the society, when a person can realize his identity in the society is most important. The third rule is to probe the limits of practical political possibility. Practical political possibility. Political philosophy must describe workable political arrangement that can gain support from the real peoples. A fourth rule of political philosophy is reconciliations. What is reconciliations? It means the restoration of friendly relations or actions of making one view or belief compatible with others. So what is reconciliations? That when people feels that where they are or what type of political system is going to be developed, it will fulfill their needs. They can live peacefully in that society. Then they can feel the concept of justice. Then Rawls' theory of justice. How Rawls discuss or depicts or elaborates the concept of justice. John Rawls, whose principles of the just distributions of social primary goods can be considered as a theory of pure procedural justice. So, John Rawls' theory of justice was pure procedural justice. By pure procedural justice, he means that the justice of his distributive principle is founded on justice as fairness of the procedure through which they have been arrived at, and that they have no independent or antecedent criteria of justice of fairness. So he was the believer of procedural justice, and not the general procedural justice, but it is the pure procedural justice where people can feel the fairness of the procedure of getting the justice. If those principles had such independent or antecedent criteria of justice or fairness, but were lacking procedural justice or fairness, they would have been principles of imperfect procedural justice. It means that if there is the doubt whether the procedure to getting the justice is pure or not, then it is imperfect. The basic features or basic ideology which is forwarded by the John Rawls in his theory of justice, it can be discussed in four part or in four phenomena. What are those four basic features of the Rawls theory of justice? Is that Rawls theory of justice is the critique of utilitarianism. So first basic features of the Rawls theory is that it is the critique of utilitarianism. Number two, it is liberal and egalitarian. Then third one, it related to the social contract procedure. And fourth one, it related with the basic structure of society. So in this four category, in a four part, you can describe the Rawls theory of justice. Then let us discuss one by one. Rawls theory of justice as a critique of utilitarianism. So we must know utilitarian concept. Utilitarian concept means how much a society, how much a political system give benefits to the peoples. That is the basis of the utilitarianism. As we have already said, that utilitarian, they believe on the concept of greatest happiness of the greatest number. So Rawls criticized it. Rawls' principles of social justice are a corrective to the liberal utilitarian principle of the greatest happiness of the greatest number. Rawls regarded that utilitarianism is morally flawed theory of justice. Rawls regarded that utilitarianism is morally flawed theory of justice. Its moral flaw is that it justifies or condones the sacrificing of the good of some individual for the sake of the happiness of the greatest number. For utilitarians, the criterion of justice in a society is the aggregate sum of utility of happiness or welfare it produces, and not the well-being or welfare of each member of the society. So, not the well-being or welfare of each member of the society. Rawls believed that justice for all is and everyone, but utilitarianism based on the concept of maximum happiness to maximum. Maximum does not mean the all. Then, by criticizing the utilitarianism, Rawls advocated the moral idea of freedom and equality of every human being. So, the basic concept which is developed by Rawls, it is the idea of freedom and equality of every human being. Moral idea of freedom and equality of every human being. He was the believer of Immanuel Kant. Like Immanuel Kant, he believed that every human being is to be treated as an end in himself or herself, and not as means to the ends of others. Means self-responsible, self-reliant, not for others. When every person will be self-responsible, self-reliant, then there will be justice. So he believed that every human being is to be treated as an end in himself or herself, not as a means to the ends of others. We are not in here to help the others, but we are in here to get the justice of us. When everyone will fight for their own justice within their capability, then there will be the real justice. On the basis of this, Rawls tried to advocate and support distributive or social justice. So, if it is a matter of capability, then there is a question of distributions. Who are more capable, who are less capable. So, we can say that John Rawls was the supporter of distributive and social justice. Then come to the main ideology developed by John Rawls. The second one. The Rawls theory is the liberal egalitarian in nature. Liberal egalitarian. Liberal and egalitarian. Or we can say it is a mix of liberal and socialist. Okay. According to Rawls, a stable, reasonably well-off society is a cooperative venture of mutual advantage. So, what type of justice he advocated? He advocated that we can get the justice in a well-off society where cooperative venture for mutual advantage can be seen. Along with cooperations, there is also conflict among its members regarding their share of burdens and benefits of social living. The purpose of principles of social justice is to ensure that distribution of benefits and burdens of the society is just or fair to all its members. The basic institutions of society, we can say it is the political system or the state. The basic institutions of society should, according to Rawls, be so constructed as to ensure the continuous distribution of social primary goods to all the members of the society in a fair or just manner. Social primary goods are goods which are distributed by the basic structure of the society. So, he paid importance on social primary goods. Okay, then they include, what are the social primary goods? It includes rights and liberties, powers and opportunities, and income and wealth. So, these are the primary factors to get the actual justice. What are these? Rights and liberties, powers and opportunities, and income and wealth. Then come to another concept. Rawls developed two principles. Rawls developed two principles to discuss his theory of justice. Rawls argues that distribution of the social primary goods, we have already said that social primary goods are the core issue of John Rawls' theory of justice. Rawls argues that the distribution of these social primary goods among the members of the society is just, J-U-S-T, just, if that distribution is made in accordance with the following principles of justice. How the social primary goods can be distributed. He developed two principles. Principle 1, principle of equal basic liberties. Number 1, the principles of equal basic liberties, or we can say it is the liberties of all. The second principles, it has two sub-themes. What are those two sub-themes? According to the second principle, there must be fair equality of opportunity. Number 1, there should be fair equality of opportunity, number 1, and number 2 is the difference principles. Fair equality of opportunity and difference principles. So, let us discuss this fair equality of opportunity and difference principles. Social and economic inequalities are to satisfy two conditions. First, they are to be attached to offices and positions open to all under conditions of fair equality of opportunity. We can say equal opportunity of job, equal opportunity of job when the job work is open for all. Second, there are to be the greatest benefit of the least advantaged members of the society. Not only there will be the equal opportunity to all in job, but also the disadvantaged. Who are the disadvantaged or least advantaged? Who are those? Vulnerable group, marginalized group, workers, peasants. They also must have to get some benefit, greatest benefit from it. Here he used the term lexical priority. You should keep in the mind the word lexical priority. The lexical priority, which means that the first principles. What was the first principle? Fair equality of opportunity. The first principles, fair equality of opportunity, must be fully satisfied before the next principles, that is the difference principle, is applied. Rawls believes liberty can be restricted only for the sake of liberty. Liberty can be restricted only for the sake of liberty. It means that he was the supporter of liberty and not for the sake of income or wealth. Not for the sake of income or wealth, not on the sake of the class, but liberty is essential for the protection of the liberty only. Rawls assumes that society, his own society, in fact, to which the principles of the social justice are to be applied is one which is regionally well off, and in which the basic material needs of all are provided for. So he believed both equality and liberty of the peoples, but the primary importance on the primary needs also paid by him to all people. The main purpose of the rule of priority is to assign greater importance on equal basic liberties than to other primary social goods. He paid more importance on equal basic liberties than the other primary goods. In basic liberties, Rawls includes, what are the basic liberties? We have already discussed about the basic needs. Now come to the basic liberties. What are the basic liberties should be given to each and every person in the society for establishment of the justice? Then, according to Rawls, it includes freedom of conscience, freedom of thought, freedom of persons along with the right to hold personal property, or we can say freedom of property, private property, freedom from arbitrary arrest and detention, or in other words, the freedom of rule of law, freedom of speech and assembly, and also other political freedoms. So when all the persons of the society feels these basic liberties, then that is the justice according to Rawls. What are the basic liberties? I have already said: freedom of conscience, freedom of thought, freedom of person along with the right to hold personal property, freedom from arbitrary arrest and detention, and freedom of rule of law, freedom of speech, assembly, and political freedoms. According to Rawls, these basic rights and liberties enable to exercise and realize our two highest order of moral powers. So, the basic rights and liberties, what already we have discussed, enable us to exercise and realize our two highest order of moral power. What are those two highest order of moral power? Number one, the capacity to understand, apply, and act according to the principles of justice. Number two, the capacity to form, revise, and pursue conception of the good. These two moral capacities make them free and equal citizens. Then his views on equality, freedom, and fraternity and welfare concept. Since the distribution of social primary goods will have to respect the equality and freedom and the fraternity and welfare, etc. So we can say that the theory of justice as propounded by John Rawls, he also had paid importance on the concept of equality, freedom, fraternity, and welfare. But he believed that it cannot strictly be an equal distribution across the board. It is not possible to maintain equality in everywhere. According to Rawls, once the basic material needs of the peoples are met, their right to basic liberties is to be accorded priority over their right to the other social primary goods which are covered by the principles of equal opportunities and difference principles. Then next most important concept which is forwarded by the John Rawls, it was the social contract procedure. Rawls' response is that a social contract method for procedure and political deliberations respect the Kantian liberal egalitarian moral idea of the freedom and equality of all persons, and that an agreement or contract arrived at through such a method or procedure is just or fair to all the parties to that contract. So, Rawls believed on a social contract. Rawls stated that social contract method or procedure of political deliberations, it must respect the Kant's view, Immanuel Kant's view, that is the liberal and egalitarian concept, based on moral idea of freedom and equality of all persons. And it should be, the contract must be based on the concept of the moral idea of freedom and equality of all persons. And they must believe that the procedure of the contract must also be just and fair. He, in fact, adopts such a procedure and argues that all the contractors would agree to above mentioned general and special formulations of the principles of distributive justice, principles which he adopts and defends as the liberal democratic egalitarian principles of social justice. He believed that the contract must be accepted by all parties. What are the rules made in general or in special? In order to ensure the impartiality and fairness in their agreement or social contract and to corporate the moral idea of the freedom and equality of all persons, Rawls postulates the contractor in his original positions are under a veil of ignorance. Veil of ignorance means the parties who will involve in the contract, they can't think, they are ignored about the future, but they know the reality where they are, about their attributes, class, social status, and their conceptions of the good. Rawls believed the motto of maximum rule of choice with maximize one's minimum prospects. So keep in mind, he believed that if we want justice, then we should keep in mind that we must have maximum choice. We must have maximum choice which maximize one's minimum prospects. The maximize one's minimum prospects. We may have minimum prospects, but we must have maximum choice. If there will be maximum choice, then there is a chance of more justice. The basic structure, last one is the basic structure of the society. Rawls' liberal egalitarian justice is marked by its concern for the equality and welfare of everyone, including especially at least advantaged members of the society. When we discuss the theory of justice according to Rawls, then we'll find out that Rawls try to protect the rights of all peoples, especially the least advantaged group peoples are also given importance by the Rawls. Rawls has persuasively shown that social justice is of crucial importance to social life, and it should inform constitutions, laws, policy, and legal process or procedures. So the justice should be realized, justice should be achieved, justice should be paid by the peoples through the constitutions, through the law, through the process, and through the policies also. In fact, according to him, the primary subject of justice is the basic structure of the society. Basic structure of the society is family, it is the caste, it is the community, it is the religion. In everywhere also we must feel the concept of justice. This is the basic structure of the society. His principles of social justice justifies and is justified by liberal democracy, a regulated market economy, and a liberal egalitarian welfare state. It means the basic structure of the society should be both types. It should be liberal as well as egalitarian. I have already said what is the liberal. Liberal is basically related to the liberty, freedom of the peoples, and egalitarian is the moral concept, philosophical concept, ethical ideology for the welfare of all. So both these views get importance, both this view paid importance by the Rawls theory. He states that for translating these difference principles in practice, why he said the difference principle? First one is given the equal opportunity to all and they will develop themselves and they will get justice on self. But those people who are frustrated, depressed, oppressed, and marginalized, for them the difference principles are essential. If these difference principles can satisfy the all peoples, then there will be pure justice, there will be perfect justice. So he said, for this perfect justice, the difference principles in practice, the government should have four branches. Four branches should be constructed by the government. What are these branches? An allocation branch to keep the price system workably competitive and prevent the formation of unreasonable market power. To keep the price system workably competitive so that this allocation branch will encourage competitions but not at the cost of unreasonable market power. Second one is the establishment branch. This establishment branch to bring about, essential to bring about reasonably full employment and jointly with the allocation of branch to maintain the efficiency of the market economy. Thirdly, a transfer branch to attain the claims of need and an appropriate standard of life. And the last one is fourthly, a distribution branch to preserve an appropriate justice in distributive share by taxation measures and adjustment of the property rights. So these four branches are essentials to really realize the concept of justice according to Rawls. How the Rawls is criticized by the various political scientists or various group of peoples? When you see that Rawls theory is criticized by the liberalists itself, like the Nozick. Rawls' concept of justice is, according to Nozick, such an any state and patterning conceptions which by undermining the liberty rights of the individual is unfair or unjust to them. So Rawls' ideology of justice criticized by Nozick on the ground of undermining the liberty rights of the individual as unfair and unjust. Marxists criticize this ideology that many Marxists criticize liberal egalitarians for their preoccupations with just or fair distribution within the capitalist system and their failure to address the underlying or inherent exploitative or alienating inequalities between the capitalists and the workers. So Marx always discuss or they are in favor of the dictatorship of proletariat. So they criticize that this theory neglects the issue related to the working class, suppressed group, oppressed group, and dominated group. The communitarian theorists criticize the Rawls' liberal egalitarian concept of justice for its emphasis on individual rights at the expense of the good of the community. So this is the communitarian group. They criticized it. They criticized it that it is in favor of more individual rights than the community rights. For it is in favor of more good of the individual rather than the good of the society at last. At a large. Okay, then I want to sum up this unit, or I want to sum up this concept. From the above discussions, we able to understand the idea and concept of the justice. On the basis of the above analysis, we come to know the important concepts of justice, which is more important in political science as well as in social science. And we have come to know that there are different types of justice: procedural justice and substantive justice. We have come to know that one of the most path-breaking works in the domain of justice has been done by John Rawls. It means that a basic role has been played by John Rawls in the development of the concept of justice. His theory of justice was liberal egalitarian concept, basically a critique of utilitarian conception of justice. Rawls' theory of justice is not free from criticism. It is criticized by Marxist, liberalist, and communist. So, we can say that by this way, we can realize the concept of justice developed by Rawls. But Rawls' theory able to plays very important role in the field of analysis of justice. Till today, there is a question: what is justice actually? It is. No political scientist, social scientist able to give a unique definition, unique concept which is accepted by all peoples, all society, all political system. And a great contribution is made by John Rawls. He tries to give a scientific analysis, but still it is under criticism. So in here, I am going to stop today's class. So I think, my dear students, you have come to know lots about the theory of justice.